Hello internet, and today's video is going to be a book haul. This book haul is for the month of August, and even though this was my birthday month, my birthday being on the 21st of August, I did not buy as many books as I have in the past. I had to be a lot more meticulous with my spending habits because tuition needs to be paid for. So we only have a couple books to discuss, but because I was so meticulous about my shopping habits this time, these are books that I was really interested in and really wanted on my shelves. Like, these were like of the top bunch that I was like, you're either at a really good price that I can finally get you, or I'm willing to fork out the money for you because I just can't say no. So let us begin. The first book we have is 7 Tears at High Tide by C.B. Lee. This is the first book that she wrote and had published. I've talked about her before on this channel because she wrote Not Your Sidekick, and she is writing Not Your Villain. Not Your Sidekick, I absolutely loved, which is why I was very interested in seeing her first work, and I'm super excited for Not Your Villain. Just moment of silence for having to wait for those book release drop dates. Anyway, this one is about a young bisexual male who wants a summer romance. He's just like, you know what, I want to be able to fall in love. I want to have a happy summer where I can just have a romance, a love story. Can I please get that? And his wish is fulfilled by a male Silkie. Now, Silkies are folklore creatures, and they are seals that are also humans. So they are human seals. Not the military kind, but they turn into legit seals. So this is a romance between these two males and their little summer romance. We learn a little bit of Silkie mythology. We learn about the history of the Silkies, stuff like that. We see the ocean in a Moana-esque light. It's very fluffy, very just soft and cute. The next book I got, which happened to arrive on my birthday of August 21st, is Iron Cast by Destiny Sora. This book is about two very strong women of color who have like this night show magic act that they do under a gangster, and all of a sudden one of them gets captured, and now these two females, these two friends, have to figure out how to get one out and how to survive the betrayal. So they're in the mob life, they're trying to survive. They live in 1919, I believe, so there might be some racial discrimination. I'm not quite sure for this book. Of course there's racial discrimination in 1919, but sometimes in like different books they choose to write out the pathetic racial discrimination that we have had in our history and focus more on the evils of humans themselves in other topics. So I'm not quite sure how that plays in, but it is a beautiful cover, so I can only imagine that its content must too be beautiful, right? Next we have Dreadknot Nemesis Book 1 by April Daniels and Sovereign Nemesis Book 2 by April Daniels. As you can see, I've kind of gotten all the way through this one. This is the first book that I've ever read that has a main character who is transgender, because unfortunately Not Your Villain is not out yet, so this was the first one. So far I'm really liking it. It sells itself as a transgender female is trying to live her life. She's just trying to get on. She doesn't feel comfortable in her masculine body. She wants a new one, but she knows she has to wait it out because of her family situation, because of the society she lives in. She knows that no one's really going to understand what's going on. The mantle of the nation superhero Dreadknot falls upon her, and the side effects of this mantle falling upon her is that she gets the body that she needs and wants. So she is now in the perfect female body for who she is. She is confident now in her body because she's just like, this is the one I fit in. But of course she has to go through struggles because her family doesn't want to understand. The kids at school don't want to understand. Her best friend doesn't understand. The people that she could potentially work with in the future, the superheroes don't understand. So she's dealing with a lot of the transgender conflicts and conversations that go around, and you just really see how it's like to be transgender and then people throw all this stuff at you. Now that I'm halfway through the book, so far I can tell it's definitely focusing more on the transgender idea versus the superhero idea, something that I don't mind at all, since I like hard-hitting topics with a element of escapism in them. I prefer my stories to all be fiction and fantasy based, but I like to see reality mixed in there. So when you go into this, be aware that's going to focus more on the political, social aspects of being transgender in society, and in a society that doesn't accept such things so easily, versus the superhero part, at least for the first half. I'm not sure about the second half. So this is just a really good book about a person who is thrusted into a situation where they want to be the person that they want to be, but people are expecting them to be someone different. Now we have Scott McCloud's Sculptor, and this is a graphic novel, a giant graphic novel. This is about a sculptor named David Smith, and David Smith is at a low point in his life. His sculpting career is not going the way that he predicted it to. It is kind of faltering. He's depressed, he's disappointed, he wants more in life, and he ends up making a deal with death that he will sell all of his life for a special ability. So he will only have 200 days left to live after this contract goes in place, and as a result of this contract and his shortened lifespan, he will have the ability to sculpt anything that he wishes. All materials under his hands, if he so chooses, will become as soft as clay and as easy to sculpt. So this is kind of where the story begins. What it really focuses on is more of the concepts, the very adult concepts of how do I create a legacy, how do I get a name for myself, how do I live and prosper, how do I just become successful, and David Smith just struggling so much, and his deep desire to fulfill his promises, to ensure that he becomes someone, and the added curse of his name being David Smith, a very, very common name. Next we have Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. I have not read this Savage Song, even though it is on my shelf somewhere. I bought this one because I want to read the Savage Song, and I personally do not like starting series that I am really sure that I will love. If I know it's a series and I'm pretty certain that I'm going to love that series, I want to know when all books are going to be available so I can buy all of them or read around the release date of the last book. Because I've been burned too many times where I'm expecting a book to be released, but it's not going to be released for the next 3 years, or it never gets released and there's kind of a cliffhanger to it. That is not my preference, okay? I like to own all of the books to a series before I start a series. Just that's how I am, so I bought this. And the last book that I bought is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Now, I was hesitant to buy this because I really did not want to read Fangirl. I've heard some mixed reviews, and some of the things that I hear about it, I'm pretty sure might get on my nerves, at least with the character of Catherine, whoever this main girl is. I'm not quite sure if this was a book written for my taste. However, I have read Carry On, which is over here with a new paperback edition that is absolutely beautiful, which is why I bought it. And I absolutely adored Carry On, one of my favorites. And Fangirl has Carry On fan fiction in it because it is the book that she is supposedly obsessed with throughout this whole fangirl thing. This Carry On is the book she fangirls over. So I really just want to read the fan fiction that she writes about Simon and Baz versus her story. And I know that's kind of mean, but I like fan fiction, I like Simon and Baz, and I just want to read about them. So because I bought the whole book and not just the fan fiction parts, I'm going to eventually read the whole book to tell you whether or not I like it. I'm still really hesitant, but let it be known that this is the one book I bought because I'd rather read the fan fiction than the book. So those were all the books I bought in the month of August. I know this was a really short book haul comparative to the ones that I've had in the past, but you know, sometimes I don't have an unlimited credit card that I can just buy everything with, so I have to pick and choose which ones I want. It's really sad, I know. I mourn the fact that I can't just own and buy all the books in my wish list all the time, but you know, I guess it teaches me a lesson in control. If any of the books on my list are ones that you were really interested in or else have read previously, comment down below and tell me how you felt about one of the books that I mentioned, and click all the button-y buttonys if you like what you're seeing here. Goodbye, internet.